It's my delight to introduce a special guest, so to say, Nagima Shukurbekova. Would you come to the front, Nagima, because I'm going to give the floor to you in a few seconds. Nagima is a visitor from University of Central Asia in Bishkek, and you're staying with us for a few weeks here in Tsoy. We are going to engage in a PhD project together. We met just a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago actually, 3 weeks ago in Bishkek at the Live in Kyrgyzstan conference. And I think most relevant to say is that you are a member of the SDG Nexus Network project, which is coordinated here from Gießen. I'm very happy to see some colleagues from the project here as well.
Thank you for kind introduction and invitation. Hello everyone, both here in the classroom and joining us online. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate the opportunity to introduce myself and share a bit about what I've been doing in my research. So before I start my presentation, I would like to say a few words about my university, University of Central Asia. So, University of Central Asia was founded in 2000 with a mission to promote the social and economic development of Central Asia, especially in its rural and mountainous communities by providing quality education and conducting multidisciplinary research in that would address the challenges that the region face by drawing on natural and environmental sciences, economic and social sciences, as well as humanities and cultural studies. Also, University of Central Asia is actually based in 3 countries in Central Asia, in Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Kazakhstan. And we, as a research-oriented development university, we are always open for collaborations and joint projects, such as SDG Nexus Networks that we are doing together with GLU. And if you are interested in research on Central Asia, of course, you are very welcome to join us or connect with us. So today, I will be presenting a preliminary draft of my study on gender gaps in land ownership and decision-making power in 4 Central Asian countries, namely in Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. And as the United Nations declared the next year the International Year of Women Farmers, I found it especially timely and important to explore gender dimensions in land access and poverty in our region. In my presentation, I will cover the following topics, like global and regional importance of the study, research gap, research questions of the study, theoretical framework, study design, and national policy frameworks and key findings and conclusion. Central Asian region consists of 5 countries. It's Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. So United Nations and its agencies, European Union, they all refer to the region in this way. This region rich in history, culture, and natural resources. But despite this richness, these countries, especially its rural and mountainous areas, still face development challenges, and especially in limited access to quality education, employment, and productive land. And as you can see in the second column, so in Central Asia, the most part of the population, they live in rural areas, and most of the people, they are engaged in agricultural sector. So agriculture remains one of the key sectors of livelihoods and employment in this region. And accordingly, for rural people, land is more than just a resource. It's a foundation for economic independence, social status, and security. Rural youth especially often depend on land as their main economic asset, but their access to land and participation in decision-making are influenced by social norms, traditions, and policies which often differ for men and women. And there is limited research on how rural youth, especially young women, gain access to land and decision-making power. Also, very few studies explore how family living arrangements, such as living with parents, affect young people's autonomy in making land and other property-related decisions. So based on these research gaps, I decided to explore how gender, household structures, and employment sector shape rural youth land ownership and decision-making power in Central Asia. And these questions are guided by two main theoretical approaches. There are property rights theory and household bargaining model. So property rights theory explains that secure ownership of land increases people's willingness to invest, improve higher productivity, and to plan for the long term to enhance the sustainability. And this theory helps us understand how legal and social recognition of land rights shapes economic opportunities. And the household bargaining model shows that decision-making power within a family depends on each person's access to resources such as income, and land, and property assets. So when youth and women have some control over land or income, they have a stronger position in household decisions. So for this data, I use a phone survey conducted by Food and Agriculture Organization jointly with University of Central Asia last year into 2024. The survey covers 4 Central Asian countries: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan, and focuses on rural youth. 4,000 young people participated in this survey, 1,000 per each country, and men and women were represented equally in the survey. So in general, along with the phone survey, FAO UCA study on rural youth included also in-depth interviews and focus group discussions with young people in these 4 countries. In this study, rural youth was defined as young people aged between 15 to 35 year, but phone survey included only young people between 18 to 35 years. So we have 3 age categories in the study. But for my current study, I used only phone survey conducted by FAO and UCA. And for analysis, I used descriptive statistics and gender disaggregated analysis. So in addition to phone survey analysis, I also reviewed the regional policy context to better understand land access and decision-making issues in Central Asia. But this part of the study is still in progress, so here I show the overview of policy context. So all four countries have national laws and have been working on land registration and cadastral improvements in recent years. They have also developed youth policies, youth strategies that emphasize entrepreneurship, employment, and skills for young people. And in the gender area as well, governments have adopted gender strategies and laws to improve women's rights and participation. So, for example, Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, they are working on simplifying and digitizing land procedures and cadastral work, whereas Tajikistan land policy still relies on land use certificates and family farm registration. International projects are supporting land registration and cadastral improvements in all four countries. And Uzbekistan has pursued broad reform roadmap since 2019 and adopted new gender and youth measures as part of wider economic and social reform in the country. So this regional trend shows that governments align their reforms with SDGs, emphasizing sustainable land use, youth inclusion, and women empowerment. So accordingly, legal framework exists in all four countries, but application, data shows that remains limited. So in next two slides, I would like to show the perceptions of young people in four countries regarding two gender-related questions in survey. So the first question asked whether young people agree or disagree with the statement that there are unequal opportunities for men and women in countries. So as you can see from the chart, the majority of young people in all four countries, they reported that they agree with the statement, both men and women. But the important thing here, whether they want to change it or not. And in the second question, it was asked whether young people think that gender inequality, gender gaps in society are normal and change, there's no need for change, or it's abnormal and change should happen. So numbers in the graph show that female respondents in all four countries, they are more likely to view gender inequality as abnormal, and they want to see a change in society in this aspect. And in contrast, a large share of male respondents, they reported that so they perceive these inequalities as normal, and they think no change is needed. So this points to a clear gender divide in attitude, with young women more supportive of change and equality, while young men more inclined toward traditional norms. And this difference in perception leads to the gender disparities in other aspects as well. So coming to the first research question, the length of, here in the chart, orange bar represents land ownership among rural youth, and as you can see, it remains relatively low in all four countries, ranging from 7% in Kazakhstan to 22% in Tajikistan. So overall access to both land and livestock is very limited, which already suggests that young people in rural areas in this region are not actively engaged in agri-food system or agricultural activities. So if you look at the employment by country and gender, so from the first chart, we can see that the share of those not employed is quite high, especially in Uzbekistan, where more than 3/4 of respondents reported that they are not employed. In other countries, unemployment rates range between 40 to 47%. And employment in agriculture remains very low. Only, as you can see in the second chart, so only 244 respondents reported that they work in agricultural sector, of which 214 are men and only 30 are women. So that it shows that a significant gender gap in agricultural engagement. So looking at gender differences, we see that about 64% of young women in the region, they do not work. But for example, for agriculture, I can say that it doesn't mean that women in rural areas, they are not engaged in agricultural activities. Actually, they work in agricultural activities, but because they do not receive any income or salaries from their engagements, they report that they do not work in this sector. And this graph represents only those respondents that reported they have any property assets. So only 155 out of 4,000 reported they have like any assets, like land, apartment, house, livestock, etc. And in these slides, so I want to highlight that female size is quite small. So here I do not compare between men and women. I just want to show like how many like men and women that work in agriculture, they have access to land. So from this slide, from this graph, we can see that land ownership is not linked to agricultural employment. So among those working in agriculture, only about 24% men and only 4% are women, so who own land. Now moving to the second research question, the relationship between household context and decision-making autonomy. So in this slide, we look at the decision-making power over possessed property among rural youth. The number of property owners in data is 760 out of 4,000 respondents, of which 563 are men and only 197 are women. So as you can see from the graph, in most countries, this red bar represents men and like blue bar represents women, and you can see the differences here. In all 4 countries, men are more likely to decide independently how to use their property, their land, income, and while women tend to consult with their spouses and other family members. So this suggests that rural households remain quite conservative, where mostly older family members or men typically hold greater autonomy in property-related decisions. In these slides, I want to show a basic demographic picture. So marital status and living arrangements by gender. As we can see, more than 60% of women between like aged 18 to 35, they are married, while only around 44% of men are reported to be married. And when it comes to living arrangements, the majority of both young men and women in rural areas, they live with their parents. So here I would like to mention that I am new in econometrics, and I am new especially using econometric tools. Here I just wanted to show whether like decision-making autonomy have a relation, have a link with living arrangements, with family living arrangements. So from these simple regression linears, you can see that living with parents has a strong and significant negative effect on decision-making autonomy. So in other words, those who live with their parents are less likely to decide independently how to use their income, land, and other property. And gender and marital status, on the other hand, I didn't include this. They do not have statistically significant link to decision-making power. So this means that household structure matters more than gender or marital status in shaping decision-making power among rural youth. So the study is still in the progress, and so here I just wanted to show a brief key takeaways from the analysis I reached so far. So low land ownership among young men and women means weaker rights and fewer chances to invest in agriculture, and land ownership is not strongly linked to agricultural work, and men's independent decisions about property also shows unequal control rights among men and women in rural areas. So women's limited autonomy reflects insecure tenure, and women and youth who rely on parents have less less bargaining power, and living with parents reduces their autonomy to make independent choices. And for policy insights, also I still working on the analysis here. Like I have recommendations to make land registration use and gender friendly, expand youth access to finance, training and services, and improve like training programs for young people in rural areas, maybe to improve or enhance youth housing programs for young people in rural areas, and also offer legal awareness programs for young people. So okay, these are references that I used for this presentation, and I thank you for your attention.